They always said I was too-sensitive, that I made everything about me, that I needed to get over being the black sheep of the family for years. I swallowed their jabs in silence. The missed birthday calls, the forgotten holidays, the way they introduced me to new people as our other daughter, the quiet one. And still, I showed up. I smiled through my sister's engagement party, where my name was even printed on the seating chart. I babysat their grandkids without complaint. I flew in on red-eye flights just to take the family photos where they placed me at the very edge, half cropped out. But nothing, absolutely nothing compared to what they did last summer. I was scrolling social media late one night, half expecting the usual perfect family photos my mom loved to post. Everyone glowing, arms wrapped around one another, matching outfits. And then I saw it, a giant group photo under a banner that read, "An annual family reunion, 30 years strong." My sister in front, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, all gathered at a breathtaking resort on the coast. And me? Nowhere. No invite. Not even a text. I stared at the photo for what felt like hours. I checked my email, my messages. Nothing. My throat closed. The room felt like it tilted. They had planned the entire reunion. They coordinated outfits, travel, events, and didn't include me. I called my mother. It rang twice before she declined it. The next day, I received a short message. "We figured you'd be busy. You never seem to want to be around family much anyway." Busy? That was the excuse. I felt like my chest had been hollowed out. I took a deep breath and whispered aloud, "Okay." What they didn't know was that 3 months earlier, I had quietly finalized the purchase of a stunning coastal resort. It had been a private dream, something I'd been working toward for years through my interior design company. After rebuilding beach houses, managing properties, and even flipping old motels into boutique stays, I'd finally signed the dotted line. I hadn't told anyone yet, especially not my family. They'd never believed I'd amount to anything. I'd kept my distance. My wins quiet until now. I looked at that photo again. The resort seemed oddly familiar. I zoomed in, and then my stomach dropped. They were standing at my resort. They'd unknowingly booked their precious reunion at my property. The one I had redesigned from top to bottom. New lobbies, whitest stone patios, fire pits, and all. They'd reserved rooms, taken photos by the fountains I picked, and toasted to family love under the lights I'd strung across the courtyard. That's when the idea formed. I wouldn't confront them. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't beg. I'd welcome them like any good resort owner would. But I'd make sure they never forgot who really owned the spotlight. Now, I flew down to the coast quietly. No big announcement. No flashy entrances, just me, my suitcase, and a plan. The front desk staff, whom I had hired and trained myself, greeted me with warm smiles. "Miss Lane," the manager said, "your family checked in yesterday. They're in the garden suites. Should we prepare the sunrise?" "Hall like you requested." I nodded, slipping my sunglasses off slowly. "Yes," I said, "and I'd like to approve the guest list for the dinner tonight." Personally, I spent the afternoon reviewing every detail. The menu, the music, even the centerpiece designs. I instructed the kitchen to serve their signature dishes. With a twist, customized plates with name tags. Everyone in the family would receive a plated dish with a custom label. Cherished guest. Beloved aunt. Golden nephew. But the seats meant for me, my daughter, or any mention of my name. Nothing. No card. No plate. Exactly like they'd treated me all these years. But that evening, the real curtain rose. They gathered for dinner in the open-air banquet hall, the ocean breeze soft and golden. My mother wore a new silk shawl. My father stood at the bar, his booming laugh echoing. My sister, always the center of the universe, twirled in front of everyone as her toddler climbed the dinner tables. Not a single one of them noticed me watching from the side, dressed in a sleek navy dress, clipboard in hand. To them, I was part of the staff, invisible, just like they'd always treated me. Until the lights dimmed, until the host took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice warm and practiced. "We'd like to take a moment to thank the person who made tonight's celebration possible. The reason you're all gathered here at this beautiful resort." My mother looked up, confused. My sister froze mid-sip. And now, the host continued. "Please welcome the owner of this entire property, the visionary who restored it. The reason this night exists, Miss Cassandra Lane." I stepped out of the shadows, clipboard gone, and heels clicking on the stone floor like thunder. The air changed. Forks stopped midair. My mother blinked, clutching her glass. My father's jaw dropped. My sister let out a nervous laugh, the same fake giggle she used in high school when caught cheating on a test, and I smiled. "Hello," I said into the mic. "I hope you're all enjoying the accommodations. You chose a beautiful venue. Excellent taste." A few guests clapped, still unsure. My voice stayed even, but my hands didn't shake. Not anymore. "Funny thing, you spent the whole weekend in my rooms, on my terraces, at my pool. And yet, not one of you invited me." My father finally stood. "Wait a minute. This is your place." I tilted my head, surprised. "Dad thought I was just your quiet one, the emotional daughter with the hobby business." My mother's face had turned pale as the tablecloth. We didn't know," she stammered. "We didn't mean to." "To what?" I snapped just loud enough for the room to hear. "Forget me again?" The room was silent now. My cousins stared, unsure whose side to take. The hotel staff stood a little taller, proud. The night air held its breath. My sister tried to step forward, hand on my arm. "Cass, let's not do this here." I stepped away. "You had your photo ops, your speeches about family unity, but you left out one thing, the one person who actually built something." I gave one last smile. "Enjoy the rest of your reunion. Dessert will be served in the courtyard, and I've added something special to the menu." As I turned to leave, my voice echoing off the marble columns, my father reached out. "Cass, wait. We didn't realize. We never meant to hurt you." I stopped, looked him dead in the eye. "You never meant to see me." Then I walked out, head high, heels steady, and a storm brewing behind my calm. I didn't stay to watch them squirm that night, but the resort cameras caught enough. My mother stumbling out of her seat, trying to wave down the event coordinator. My father pacing the terrace like a man whose throne had just been yanked out from under him. My sister sobbing into her cocktail because the spotlight for once wasn't hers. I went back to my private suite, the one no guest had access to. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the ocean. My daughter Ava was already asleep on the couch, snuggled with the book we'd started together, Matilda. I smiled. She didn't need to see them fall. She only needed to see me rise. The next morning, my mother knocked on my door. Not called, not messaged. She knocked. I didn't answer. By noon, a note appeared under the door. "Cassie, we didn't know. Please, let's talk. Your father is devastated. We're sorry." I left it untouched on the floor because I remembered. Every time they did know. Every Christmas card I didn't get. Every birthday they skipped. Every college bill I paid alone. I remembered the silence when I told them I was opening a business. The smirks when they asked. Oh, like a real one. The silence became my answer. Later that afternoon, as guests were preparing for the final dinner, I made one more change. I called in my event director and said, "Restructure tonight's seating chart. I want my daughter seated at the head table." He blinked. "And the rest of the family?" I smiled. "Foldable chairs. Back corner." He chuckled. "Ma'am, you sure?" I've never been surer. When the dinner began, Ava walked in wearing the little lavender dress she had chosen. She looked nervous, but I walked beside her, holding her hand, and the staff welcomed her with applause. They'd all seen the footage. They knew the story now. My parents were already seated at a plastic table in the corner. No centerpiece, no wine service. They looked stunned. Ava, bless her kind heart, glanced up at me, and whispered, "Mommy, are they in trouble?" I knelt down. No. Baby, they're just learning. My sister arrived last, late as always, and stormed toward me. "This is low, Cassie. You're punishing all of us." I cut her off. "No. You punished me for years, for existing, for not being the golden child, for daring to want a voice. This," I gestured to the room, the staff, the guests clapping for Ava's speech. "This is not punishment. This is balance." The dinner went on. Ava gave a small, beautiful toast to my mommy who owns this whole place and who taught me that being kind doesn't mean being quiet. The room stood. People clapped. Even the DJ wiped his eyes. My father tried one last time. He approached our table, shame softening his voice. "Kaz, we were wrong about everything. Your mother and I. We thought we were doing what was best for the family." I looked him straight in the eye. "You meant your version of family, not mine." I handed him an envelope. "Here's your checkout receipt. You've been moved to the motel across the highway. Breakfast is not included." My mother gasped. My father looked ready to collapse. I didn't flinch. "And next time," I said slowly, "maybe you'll remember. The ones you cast out sometimes build kingdoms of their own." I stood, took Ava's hand, and walked onto the dance floor where music began playing. The staff smiled. The guests cheered. Behind us, the family, who once mocked me for being quiet, emotional, not enough, sat in silence in plastic chairs at a resort they thought they owned, until the truth knocked the silver spoons right out of their mouths. Justice wasn't loud. Justice was served with elegance, reservation, and a chilled glass of poetic revenge.